you can get some of the things you always dreamed about, and you still won't be happy. Even if I got something, let's say a new car, my mind would still be thinking negative thoughts, depression, sad, so I wasn't happy. Crying nonstop. It was like, now when people talk about withdrawal, it was harder than any physical pain I've ever had in my life. I was 18, got my girlfriend at the time pregnant, and we were both church believers, so at the time she felt we had done such bad that we were trying to fix it, and really there was no way to fix that, it was already done. But she felt maybe her moving back home, which is in Puerto Rico, us breaking up, maybe that was a solution. So when that happened, I got very sad. So my mom took me to the doctors, and the doctors automatically assumed I was depressed. And first thing they do is give you depression medication.
We all feel sadness. We all feel moments in our life that we have to go through things that we don't like. But we have to pay attention when it gets to a moment where it's causing big distress in your life. If for a period of 2 weeks or more, you start having feelings of sadness most of the days, nearly every day, you're gonna have feelings of hopelessness, feelings of guilt. You're gonna have feelings of helplessness as well, like there's nothing you can do that's gonna make it better. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. You might have some decreased appetite. You're gonna have some issues with your sleep, decreased concentration. And when those things start making an impact in your life and they last for more than 2 weeks, that's when you should start thinking that you might have depression.
About a year, a little after that, my girlfriend and I got back together. Things started going well. After that, we even decided to get married again. So at that point, things should have been better. And things were decent at that time, but even after that is when I noticed I started getting worse. Once I was on the medications, I started losing my emotions. Like I couldn't cry even if, let's say, an important family member of mine passed away. I started getting angrier. Anxiety was very kicking in strong. And it just kept getting worse and worse, and even though I was taking the medication that they thought would help me.
The emotions are so intense and overwhelming that you feel like you just can't get out of that hole. And so you're struggling, and it seems like the more you're struggling, the deeper that hole is getting. And so signs that that might be the case are thoughts of death, like just not wanting to be alive, a sense of hopelessness, a sense of meaninglessness in life, a sense of paralysis, like nothing, I might as well just give up because nothing really means anything in life. There's no more joy.
You actually need a little bit of anxiety in your life to actually grow and to be healthy and to be well. I tell them it's the same concept as like a butterfly who's working its way out of its chrysalis. If you cut it open and help it out, you're going to end up killing it, because through the struggle, through the fight of getting out of the chrysalis, it's actually strengthening its wings and drying them off so it can survive.
Then what happened for me is once I went in and said, hey, I'm starting to feel this way, instead of them thinking maybe we should take you off this medication, their idea was, oh, we need to double the dosage. So then that didn't work. So let's say a few months or another year goes by and I go back, oh, we need to increase the dosage again. So when that didn't work and more months went by, their next idea was, oh, we need to get you on a different medication. So then I went through all the medications pretty much that you can try.
There are times when medication is absolutely necessary. The best medications treat an imbalance, a chemical imbalance in the brain. And so you need to have a long, hard conversation with your medical provider in doing this. And let them know of your concerns, your fears about being on this long term. Let them know about your concerns about addiction or something that may change your personality. And have that honest conversation with your healthcare provider. They can adjust medications, they can do things, a variety of things with some of the newer medications that may be able to give you some relief and yet allay some of your fears. But that conversation needs to be more of a medical conversation than anything else with your medical provider, psychiatric or your healthcare provider, about what is available for me and what can I expect to be the benefits of this, or the negative side as well.
Depression and anxiety, what I would say is that a lot of individuals can recover from that without the use of medication. But there are some that are just more extreme, more severe, and so the medication piece is important.
And being on those medications for over 20 years, you could just imagine it was a hard, let's say, 3 to 4 weeks of my life. Within like the first, I think after 4 days of getting off of it, I just started getting a feeling that, it's hard to describe. My head hurt 24/7. Pain. The thoughts got even faster. I mean, more repetitive. Like all I can think about was negative things. I almost started seeing things. Like the sky, the way you look at it now, I saw it black. I couldn't believe in God for some reason. It seemed like an impossibility. It seemed like the world was going to end in just a few days, like the world was just speeding by me and I was going to be dead soon. The thoughts of taking my life was every minute. Crying nonstop. It was like, now when people talk about withdrawal, it was harder than any physical pain I've ever had in my life.
Our brain is going through stress, right? Something is not right in our brain. So some of the neurotransmitters like serotonin, norepinephrine, they might start needing some help to get back to the level state so your brain can function to the best of its ability. So you might have some issues with that. Some parts of your brain might also be impacted, like your hippocampus, for example, frontal lobe. So those are the things that you need to pay attention to and understand on the treatment of depression, that being therapy or other ways.
It was very difficult for the people around me because they don't really understand. And I'm grateful that they were there for me and they supported me, but they don't understand the feeling you're going through. And you could try to explain it to people, but words just don't really describe it. But I think hope, prayer, and family, kept me going until I was to the point where I was like, okay, I need to take control of this myself and figure out what's going on.
The way it feels for clients to come in, and then we get a whole set of clients who are like, well, I don't want a diagnosis, I don't want a label. And I'm like, not a problem. We could just go ahead and work on the symptoms and see what we need to do to clear up symptoms, because they're so adverse to this idea that mental health still has a stigma to it of it's wrong, it's bad, you're crazy, there's something terribly awful with you. And it's just like, there's nothing terribly awful with you, there's nothing wrong about you, and you're definitely not crazy. It's something that a lot of normal, everyday people go through. Your body can only handle so much stress. It can only handle so much bad things happening. It can only handle so much trauma. You're gonna find your breaking point at some point in time, and that's okay. It allows your body to actually help hit the reset button.
I tried all the different medications and let the doctors direct everything that was going. And when that didn't work, that's kind of when I went to God. But I guess we kind of all do that in a way. We forget about Him until we need Him. If you don't have hope, it can get very scary. But I always had this hope that one day it would be over. And I kind of have to give that to God, because without Him, I wouldn't have had the hope, I think.
Just the mere fact of sometimes the thankfulness that can happen with prayer. There's been some research that shows that thankfulness has the same effects on the brain as certain antidepressants like Prozac. I think with an attitude of prayer, where we can come to God with an attitude of thankfulness, well, things might be hard, but I'm going to thank you for the victory that you're going to bring, or I've seen how you've been faithful in other areas of my life and you're going to continue to be faithful. I think that has a profound impact on the way we view our lives, because depression, unfortunately, and post-traumatic stress disorder can have us have a very pessimistic, negative view of the past, the present, and the future. And so when we come at it from a perspective of thankfulness that it's going to get worked out, there is there is a shift that can happen. So prayer definitely does play a profound role, especially I'll work with some people on journaling their prayers. If maybe speaking them out during the traditional way of prayer is not as helpful for them, journaling their prayers out so they can also go back and review how God has brought them through, or how they've overcome, or how they've succeeded in certain areas where they felt they weren't ever going to be able to get out of.
My first prayer to God, and probably every time I went to church, was, God, get me off of being depressed and without needing medication. I just started feeling I didn't want to be on this.
Prayer is our way of connecting with God. And when a person has a relationship with God, it buffers the traumatic impact of negative events in life. People are able to deal with challenging circumstances far better.
No, anxiety is not your identity. Depression is not your identity. It's something you're dealing with. It's something you're struggling with. It's something your body and your mind and your soul are going through, but it's not who you are, and it shouldn't stop you from making certain choices in your life in order to move forward with your purpose.
Number one thing is, don't give up. Rely on God and your family. Don't keep it all into yourself. It's very hard because when you're depressed, you think no one's going to understand you, they're going to judge you, so you kind of keep a lot to yourself. But you have to have at least one or two people that are there with you. And just keep trying different things. If you're very super depressed and nothing makes you happy, there's a possibility you might have to try a medication here and there. But it's not a fix. It's a Band-Aid. You also got to do other things, or else you're going to get stuck in that cycle I did of just continuing medication. You know, they would tell me to do other things, and my hope was, oh, the medication might work, so I didn't do the exercising, the eating well, the praying. You have to do those things because there's not a quick fix. It's a long process.
Community is very important to your recovery as a person. We all need some social life. So participating in communities like church or communities from where you live is very important, because that's going to give you interactions with people. You're going to be able to make some friends. You're going to be able to distract your mind, and in the future always having something to look forward to.
Because at some point I was thinking, man, I'm going to be like this the rest of my life. So yes, it was worth it, because now I see life totally different. My emotions are back. I got relationships back with people. I just feel like a different person. I feel like I'm living life again, instead of just going through it, just going through the motions. Faking it is another way I could put it. And you have to do a lot of faking. So yeah, it was worth it. And the pain I went through doing this, if we can help others, then it makes it even way more worth it. Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ. That one's one that stands out to me.